Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of the 72 review. A little bit of a different look on the panel today. I'll start below me. We've got Charlie, One Rovers Vlogs. Thank you for stepping in for Jake, Punk Chef 41. He's not feeling too well today, so he's had to drop out, and Charlie's thankfully stepped in to cover League One. Welcome to the show. Tell everybody who you are and what you do, mate.
Yeah. First of all, really appreciate you having me on, and hopefully Jake is better soon. But yeah, basically just Bristol Rovers fan. Yeah, do all sorts of content. Yeah, feel free to subscribe if you want. Just make sure you keep supporting yourself and the good work you're doing.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. I will link Charlie's YouTube in the description down below. Not had time to do it yet, but it will be in there for as soon as the show's finished. And to my left is Ian, Bradley Rother fan. Ian, people know you already, but if anybody's new watching, give them a quick once-over of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, been a Millers fan for 50 years plus. Do a bit of amateur vlogging and ground hopping for a YouTube channel called Over the Bar. And just a general football fan, but a Rotherham season ticket holder. A general ranter. I'm retired, so I've got a lot of time on my hands.
Beautiful stuff. So if you are new to the show, please get your comments in. If you're not new to the show, get your comments in. We try to go through as many as possible throughout the show. But what we do is we go through Championship, League One and League Two. We're going to start in League Two this week. Something different. We've got one comment already. We've got Ryan Clark, Barnsley Massive, already in there straight away. But yeah, please get your comments in and we will go through them. But we will start with Doncaster at Wimbledon. What can I say about this? It was one of those games where, according to social media, we were on top for 60 minutes. It's some of the best football that we've played throughout this season. We as fans, we wanted to see improvement in performance. We've got a couple of decent results in the league, but the performances weren't quite there. And for 60 minutes, according to all sources, it was good stuff from the Rovers, but then a couple of individual errors and the lapse of concentration let young Coombs in a couple of times, 76th and 84th minute, and you think the game is dead and buried. But then an absolute wonder strike from Tommy Rowe a couple of minutes later got it all back on, and then we showed what we could do a few weeks ago in the league against Sutton, turning around the 1-goal deficit and winning 2-1. Roshan Williams pops up on the 94th minute to save a point. Lizzie is in the chat. Good evening, lads. Evening, Lizzie. She went down there. Get a comment in. Tell us what it was like. I mean, statistically, it looks a fairly even game. And she's kind of echoing what I've already said. Best football we've played so far this season in that first half. Oh, we take that on Stockport on Tuesday. Definitely. I mean, I was talking to Ian before we came live. Stockport and Salford coming up. That's going to be a good indicator to say where Doncaster are at the minute. But unbeaten in the league, I will definitely take that. Charlie, you know League Two from last season. Tell us about it. I mean, you guys had a difficult start last season and then pushed on towards the end in an absolute ridiculous final game of the season. Tell us about that before we move on to the next game.
Yeah, it is a very tough league, and like you said, we had an awful start. So you've already had a better start than us. It is a very tough league. A lot of Saturday, Tuesday games. Like I said, for Doncaster to have an unbeaten start so far is very good. And like you said, the character was excellent. Absolutely must have been scenes in that away end. Such a late equaliser from Roshan Williams, and it is a very tough league. It's a game. It's a sort of a lead that you need to, even when you're not playing well, just try and pick up points along the way. Try and have a good home record, like we did. I think we ended the season 15 home games unbeaten, and we only lost 3 from January to the end of the season. So, I mean, to be fair, I do think looking at your signings as well, and I think you will have a very good season. But I think there's a lot of teams that can do well in League Two. It's a league where anyone can beat anyone. But for you to score them 2 late goals, obviously I know Tommy Rowe was at you before, then come back after a spell at our are sort of city rivals, and he was at Peterborough in the past as well. But yeah, really good point in the end after being 2-0 down.
Yeah, definitely take that. We've got Amadeus in the chat. He's fairly regular. Hi, lads. Good evening. We will touch on Sheffield Wednesday when we go into League One. And we've got Dave Jones. Why are EFL referees so shy at Bolton? Santos sent off at Port Vale yesterday for holding a player. Ball over the line by a foot as well. I hate Sunday League refs. Yeah, we'll touch on that game as well. I think Lizzie saw your prediction. Oh, no. No, that'd be Gabe Sutton's 20th prediction.
Yeah, Gabe Sutton. I've seen that. Yeah.
Very, yeah. He's not liked in Doncaster at the minute.
Yeah.
But talking about referees, I think we'll move on to Northampton against Hartlepool. Ian, would you like to take this one? It's worthy of a mention that Sonny Singh, the first British South Asian referee to referee an EFL game since his dad. His dad was in the crowd watching him and pretty much taking notes on his performance, and not a bad game to start with, really, and didn't really put a foot wrong, did he?
I didn't really know. It was quite a good piece on the Football League programme about it. And it didn't seem to have caused any controversy. And Northampton ran out 2-1 winners over a Hartlepool side that have started badly and really looked to be struggling even this early in the season. But Northampton, they're quite a strong side for this level, and they probably will go fairly close. I mean, the 20 shots, 10 on target for Northampton. They look to have dominated the game, and yeah, especially at Sixfields, I think they look really strong this season.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think worth a mention for the second goal as well. There was a handball which effectively stopped the ball from going in, and then Appiere spotted it home. Yeah. I think the referee dealt with that really well, giving the yellow card and not pulling it back that we've seen sometimes. So we've all had poor EFL referees. We've been on the receiving end of poor decisions, but I think it's worthy of mentioning positive stuff that the referees do as well. It's a tough job, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's a difficult job.
Personally, though, I don't mind having a poor ref if he's consistently poor and poor for both teams.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys think the same. If he's
giving I agree.
questionable decisions against both rather than leaning one way or the other, I can kind of accept that he's just a poor referee. But when there's clear biases between two clubs, I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to the next one. The next game that I've got down is Orient against Mansfield. Worthy of a mention. Richie Wellens, our old manager. Questions of if he was the problem at Doncaster or not. We've spoke about this before we came live as well. I think there were issues with Richie Wellens for sure. His recruitment wasn't great, and I think Leyton Orient have got a much better setup behind the scenes with the recruitment and what have you. And Richie's just left to be a coach and be a manager. I think he's good at that. It's the rest of the job what Doncaster wanted him to do that he failed at, in my opinion. But he's showing his credentials at Leyton Orient, 3 wins in 3, and a decent result against Mansfield. Charlie, you've faced Mansfield and Orient last season, both decent teams. Decent result for Orient, or would you expect more from them this season?
Yeah, it was a good result, and I seen it on Twitter earlier as well that someone put a bit of a compilation of their keeper, Lawrence Vigouroux. Apparently he was outstanding. I think he saved the penalty as well, and had a really, really good first half. So, and as you can see by the stats, Mansfield, not more of the possession, but as you can see, there are a lot of shots, and it was all thanks to their keeper. But yeah, I think it was strange when we were in because they were doing really well last season up until Christmas, and then it sort of hit them. They had a lot of COVID, and then they just they went awful basically second half of the season. But then when, like you said, Wellens come in, he started he ended the season pretty well with them, and I think they'll do well. They've recruited really well, and he is a good manager for this level. I think he won the league with Swindon as well, didn't he, in League 2 a few years back? So yeah.
yeah, unfortunately, it's hard to say. Very good manager, but we've let him go. And the final game that I want to touch on in League Two, it is very warm, so I want to try and fly through this episode today so that we don't actually melt on screen. Is the Bradford Newport County? I've touched on this one because we've got Ian Richard Smallwood, regular at Rotherham, absolute worldie, but you said that he never scored them for Rotherham.
He didn't. He was an archetypal defensive midfielder, organising the back four and just spraying balls about. But he's definitely a level above League Two. I mean, he came from, I think it was Hull City, and he's not League Two level. He's a fantastic signing for Mark Hughes. And Bradford are starting to look a little bit ominously strong, especially at Valley Parade. I mean, they've got an Achilles heel on the travels occasionally, but I think they'll go very, very close to automatics. They look a good side and well coached by Mark Hughes.
Yeah,
I can't see him not being promoted, actually.
Yeah, definitely. Going down to 10 men obviously didn't help Newport out, but as Rovers fans, the first game of the season, we saw that Bradford sometimes struggled to break 10 men down. I'm guessing that first game of the season helped them learn a lesson on how to break a team down, because they got that second goal, which ultimately killed the game off. But potentially it was a bit easy to break them down because they were pushing for that equaliser, whereas we had something to hold on to. But yeah, I think Bradford will be up there come the end of the season. It's starting to come together a little bit with the new signings, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Andy Cook will score a boatload in that division.
And of course they've got Oliver as well, haven't they?
Yeah, big Verdane Oliver who can pop up with a few as well. We've got Lizzie. Glad we played Bradford when we did. Yeah, I'd agree with that. And Amadeus, the way it always turns out, frustrating when that happens, as we all know, referring to goal-scoring ex-players for your team. So before we move to League One and Bristol Rovers against Oxford, just a quick look at the table. Yet again, it means nothing until around 10 games in, but Leyton Orient fans will be very happy. The only 100% record in League Two over 3 games. Walsall, Salford make up the automatics, with Northampton, Stevenage, Barrow and Crewe making up the playoffs. Wimbledon and Donny just outside of that. And then the bottom 2, Rochdale yet to get a point, and Hartlepool off the mark. But as I say, means absolutely nothing at this stage. On to League Two, and the floor is all yours, Charlie. Tell us about Bristol Rovers versus Oxford. John Marquis scoring, so ex-Rovers scorer. There we go.
Of course, another good win. Getting back-to-back league wins after a poor start, but if a lot of people don't know this, but our record for the first game of the season is terrible. We lost to Forest Green at home, and we haven't won an opening day fixture for 11 years. So I'm not really surprised that we lost. But yeah, again on the game, it was one of those games where I think Oxford, as you can see there, had more of the ball, but they didn't really do much with it. They headed the ball onto the bar in the first half. Second half, they missed a sitter. James Henry, for them, should have scored really, but we defended well, looked solid. We still had a few players. Paul Coots was just come back on the bench after serving his 4-game suspension from last season, where he got sent off at Rochdale. So we had 38-year-old Glenn Whelan, who's actually meant to just be a coach now, but he's now turned player coach. So whenever we need him, but he was quality, to be honest, especially when you had, Brannigan for them, who's an outstanding midfielder. But yeah, they didn't cause us many problems, and it was a well worked goal for us. It's great to see Marquis get off the
mark.
Yeah, get that sort of monkey off his back, getting his first goal. But to be fair, in the other 2 games, because we've had a lot of injuries and players just come back, we sort of gone for like a 4-2-4 in the first 2 games in the league. So, but Marquis has sort of played behind Ryan Loft, so we haven't really seen the best of him. But he was causing them problems, like gaining fouls, and yeah, it was a well worked goal. Good to see him get off the mark. It's sort of been a different, hearing everyone's, you hear, of course, your thoughts and other Doncaster fans saying that he was quality. And then Pompey fans, they were like, oh, obviously because they spent a bit of money on him, they were expecting a lot more. But yeah, really, really happy with it. To beat an Oxford side and keep a clean sheet is really good. I think they'll be up there. And yeah, third in the league. I know it's early, but third in the league, I'll take that. We just got to keep playing the way we are.
Yeah, definitely. I think in John Marquis, you've got a player who's going to give 100% in every game. He'll chuck the toys out of the pram when things aren't going his way. But I like to see that. It shows a bit of passion for the shirt that he's wearing, and I think as a fan, that's all we can really ask for, players to give everything. And if you get beat by the better team, then so be it. But I think a lack of effort is where the frustration comes in, and that was evident last year for the Rovers. There was a lack of effort from pretty much everybody, and I think if we'd have had one or two Marquises in our side, we'd have stayed up. But it is what it is. Lizzie, ex-Rovers goal scorer Claxon. There's another one coming up later on in the show, which I didn't expect, but we'll get onto that shortly. But yeah, a great result for Bristol Rovers.
Yeah.
Couple of other games that I looked on. Ian, do you want to take the Burton Accrington Stanley game?
Where do you start? They don't do boring at Accrington, do they? There always seems to be really high scoring games. But whenever you've got like players of the ability of McConville and whatnot, they're always in with a chance. But I'm sure Burton fans at 4-2 up going into injury time, thinking that they're going to get the first win of the season. I mean, I think if I were a Burton Albion fan, I'd be sick as a Blackpool donkey to let a 2-goal lead slip into injury time. But yeah, some great attacking football from both sides. Some good goals as well. It's a pity Accrington gets such poor gates because every game at that Crown Ground seems to be a goal fest these days.
Yeah.
I think this season, I think on the show on ITV, I think they said that they've conceded 2 goals at home every single game this season so far. Maybe wrong with that.
Yeah.
In the comments section, let us know. But I think that's right. But I feel sorry for Davis. Scored a hat trick, and kind of the shine has been taken off of that hat trick from just a crazy game of football, isn't it?
Yeah. Good signing for Burton though, from Oldham.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Good signing. Yeah.
With Jake not being here, we will still cover Sheffield Wednesday. Amadeus, I believe he's a Wednesday fan in the comments. And this one, it was one of those where Wednesday have pretty much ground out a result, unbeaten now in 12 at home. Ian, can you remember the last team to beat Sheffield Wednesday at home? I don't know if you will.
Just a minute. Tip of me tongue. Yeah, Rotherham. Sorry. Yeah.
We'll let you get that one in. But yeah, it's one of those where Wednesday have ground out a result, and it wasn't pretty. But yeah, powerful header to win the game, and Darren Moore has set his team up to do a job on Charlton, and they definitely did that. I mean, Charlton had the better of the game, better of the chances, but that's the stat that matters, isn't it, at the top? And when teams are winning games that they're not necessarily the best team in, you expect them to be up there or thereabouts come the end of the season, don't you?
Yeah,
and also
absolutely.
Wednesday seems to have shored the defence up, and they're not conceding idiotic goals like they were last season, which probably cost them promotion, really.
Yeah, I mean, the number of times Jake was on the show saying we've chucked 2 points away, There were so many draws last season, like you say, showing that defence up will turn those draws into wins, and then you go from playoffs to automatics, don't you? We've got a question from Lizzie. Do we think Hasselbank will get the chop? I think you can't continue the way that they're doing. It seems like there's something not quite right behind the scenes at Burton. He did a decent job 2 seasons ago. He did a decent job last season, but I don't know, something just isn't quite clicking for me. So I think he's possibly one of the more at-risk managers at the minute. What about you guys?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's 2 wins in the last 16 going back to last season, and they've now conceded in 3 league games. They've conceded 11 goals, 4 against us, 4 to Accrington, and 3 to Wickham. And I mean, we played them last week. Yes, they did have a man sent off early, but we usually never do well against teams that get a man sent off. I can't remember the last time we beat someone who had 10 men, but they were just all over the place. No leadership, nothing. We could have scored 7 or 8. They were terrible. And yeah, I agree. I think he could be the first one. I think if they don't get something sorted, if they get, I don't know who I think they've got Ipswich in their next game as well, mind. So,
wow.
And I think if they get another battering, I think he could be gone.
Yeah. Would you agree, Ian?
I would. Because Ipswich have started quite strongly. And the board at Burton might give him another 2-3 games tops. But if they don't get at least 1 win in those 3 games, I think he's out the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're saying Hasselbank and Ten Hag are the current managers with the crosshairs firmly on them. I think we'll finish League One off with Ipswich. Ian, you just mentioned them. Good start. MK Dons, though, poor start. They did very, very well last season. It's just not quite. It's not quite happening. They've lost players. Do we think that it's just a bit of time to gel for MK Dons and they'll come good, or should alarm bells be ringing?
Well, when you lose players of the quality of Twine, you're going to struggle, especially if you can't replace them. They'll always play good football. They'll always try and pass the ball. But I think this season they're a lot weaker than they are last season, and they just seem a bit lightweight to me. But obviously, going to Ipswich, even with last season's MK Dons squad, would be a tough game. Because Ipswich have strengthened considerably. And they just look to have got this game out of the way pretty quickly. And they've got a good side, a good squad. And I noticed Ladapo's not scored yet. But when you've got Burns, Harness and Chaplin, 3 really, really good League One players, after a squad as strong as they are, I can't see past Ipswich getting promoted.
I think I'd agree with that. I think Harness is a fantastic signing from Portsmouth, very good player at this level. We will do one more because I weren't sure that ATID was in the chat. He's normally pretty vocal in the chat on these live streams, but he has popped in. He just said, only just got back from Cardiff, scratch what I said last week. We walk in the league. Finnazan and Bali Mumba are the best 2 players in the league. I'll not be told otherwise. A fantastic 2-0 win against Peterborough, who had a 100% record before this weekend. Charlie, Plymouth, do you reckon these are going to do bits this season, or do you think ATID's got false expectations?
No, to be fair, I think they will. I think they'll carry on. Whether obviously they finish in the playoffs or not is a different matter. But they've not done much business this season. Well, this window so far, because they've pretty much they've already got a really good squad. And yeah, he's obviously just said in the chat they slapped us midweek. Yeah, I think it was 2-1 if I'm not wrong in midweek at home park, but. Yeah, they've got one of the best home records they did have last season, and they've always had a really good. I think 13,000. I think they're like it says there. They pretty much battered them really on shots. Yeah, I think they'll be up there. You know, Schumacher's took over. He already knew what sort of Ryan Lowe was doing. A second-hand man, and yeah, they've not had to strengthen much. But when you bring in Azaz, who I wanted us to get. He was quality at Newport last year, and then Mumba as well. I remember we played Peterborough in the FA Cup, and they brought him off the bench last season, and he terrorised us and scored. So really good signings there, using the loan market really well.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm on the same page as you. I think they'll do well, but maybe just miss out on playoffs. I mean, Lizzie said it. Plymouth always seem to start well, then peter out by Christmas. And then we've got ATID. With that, will start woeful and finish like champions. Only time will tell. So before we move on to the Championship, we'll have a quick look at the table. Charlie will be enjoying this. Ipswich first, Wednesday second, Bristol Rovers in third. Did you expect a start like this in League One?
I mean, yeah, I sort of expected us to start well, coming off the back of a really good season. But I'd have probably expected it the other way around. I'd have expected us to beat Forest Green and lose to Watford. So it's sort of the different way around. But we've got some very tough fixtures. We got Barnsley away on Tuesday night. I'll be there, and then we got Pompey away on Saturday. So we got some tough ones coming up. But yeah, hopefully we can keep on riding that wave until the end of the season and get double back-to-back promotions. Why not?
Hey, aim I, definitely. Finish the playoffs, it's Peterborough, Plymouth and Cambridge. And then the bottom four of League One, MK Dons yet to score a goal. Cheltenham, Burton and Morecambe. So there we go. ATID, they're 10 minutes away from the Mem. Know a lot of Rovers fans. Better than the Red Shite, that's for sure. So there you go. You've got an ally in the chat, Charlie. So that's League Two and League One covered. We're almost at the half-hour mark of the show, so I think that's a good point to hand the show over to Ian, where he can just wax lyrical about a Rotherham 4-0 win. It's all yours, mate.
Well, 4-0 wins in the Championship don't come along very often for us, but thoroughly deserved. The stats probably make it a little bit more even than it actually were, but we did all our business in the first half. And thank heavens for a Reading keeper like Joe Lumley. The bloke is appalling. As a goalkeeper, he's absolutely appalling. It started off, it was just like a free kick. Richard Wood weren't marked, just nodded it in easy as he liked. Then there was a fast break and Barlasser pulled a worldy 30-yard ball out to Colin Washington. And instead of waiting for somebody to sort of fill the area, he just smacked it and it just whistled past Lumley's ear into the top corner. The third goal was just laughable. Amy Lindsay with a shot, well, I call it a shot. It would look like a through ball. It would have passed. Yeah. It would have through ball, and Lumley just let it go through his fingers. And then Lumley came up trumps again on the stroke at half time, where he come racing out of his area, got beaten to it by Chio Ogbeni, who just took it past him and knocked it into the empty net. Yeah. 4-0 half time, happy days. Second half, it was just keeping Reading at bay. They had virtually most of the possession. They didn't hurt us once. Our back four looked solid, wing backs especially. Shane Ferguson and Wes Harding looked comfortable. We made a raft of substitutions in midfield. We brought Georgie Kelly on for Connor Washington. We didn't really have too much going forward in the second half, but we didn't need to. So, yeah. 4-0, everybody's very, very pleased and thoroughly deserved.
I tell you, one thing quickly I want to say. I don't know how Lumley is so bad because, like you said, I've seen the highlights as well. But we actually had him. I think it was the 2017-18 season. I think it was the second season back in League One after we'd got promoted, and I think we finished about 13th or 14th, and we had him on loan, and he was quality back then. But yeah, I've seen a lot of Middlesbrough fans like slate him, and then obviously he's ended up at Reading. Then yes, I couldn't believe that absolute howler. And it's right. Someone said if that was an outfield player, they'd have been took off. So why didn't he get taken off? Because it was terrible. It was schoolboy stuff.
I think it's difficult.
It's all about.
It's a goal.
Yeah.
It's all about confidence with goalkeepers, isn't it? If the confidence has gone, that's it. And Lumley had just completely lost it yesterday. Completely. I felt a lot of sympathy for him, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, I think the second goal.
Not that much though.
I think the second goal, Washington's hit it so hard, it's past the keeper before he's even realised he's hit it. But yeah, the third goal, there's just no there's no justifying it from a goalkeeper's point of view. It's an absolute howler. But then I think, like you say, it's a confidence position. I think his confidence is probably rock bottom at that point, and he's trying to make amends with that quick through ball for the fourth, and then he's just compounded the fact that he's had an absolute mare and he's got beaten to it, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But yeah, one to forget for London.
I enjoyed it.
I bet you did.
Yeah.
Lizzie, we had him on loan too, replaced him with someone I imagine will feature later. I think he will.
Yeah.
And Bradley, remember when Donny had him on emergency loan a couple of years ago? It must have been really forgettable as a keeper, because I do not remember him being on loan, or not clearly anyway. Moving on to the next game, I think we'll go to Millwall, who went 2-0 down to Coventry. It's a difficult one with Coventry. We've not really seen too much of them because of the situation at their ground. They've missed. I mean, your game, the Rotherham game, got postponed. It's been postponed midweek against Wigan as well. So they're having to do the business away from home, and it looked like they were doing the business half an hour in. But Millwall is a very, very tough place to go, and they've turned it around pretty quickly. Charlie, have you got any thoughts on this one? I know Ian has, but pass it to you if you've got some.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously seen the highlights. They were all over the place. Millwall in the first half, really good start from Coventry, but you'd expect them to sort of control the game there and then, really. But yeah, fair play to Millwall. I think it was a sort of a bit of a mistake from the Coventry keeper. He come out for Millwall's first goal, missed the ball completely, free header. And then, Honeyman getting, I think, his first goal, and then a good finish from Saville. But, yeah, really, you'd expect sort of Coventry to sort of, hold on to that lead and not do nothing stupid, but they give it away. And, I think it's affecting a minute that sort of how they're not being able, because they got battered by Bristol City in the week, didn't they, as well, in the Cup. So that's probably... not give them the best confidence either, but a good win for Millwall, especially after being 2-0 down. Yeah,
definitely. Lizzie put in the chat, just putting it out there, I think the situation with Rico is disgraceful. I agree as well. It's out of Coventry's hands. They were promised something that's not been delivered, and it'll be interesting to see how the EFL react to this and how they address it. I mean, I've seen people asking for similar sanctions to what Derby were getting, but I think it's a very different situation. Can't really be compared. But what your guys' thoughts? Start with Ian.
No, the situation with Coventry has got absolutely nothing to do with the football club, and to punish Coventry City Football Club, the EFL would be stupid to. It's the owners of the ground and Wasps Rugby Union Club. That's the problem. I think I've said before that this contract was signed to hold the Rugby Sevens at Coventry, was signed before Coventry had even moved back to the, whatever they call it now, the Ryco, whatever.
Yeah.
And Coventry City as a club, their hands were tied. Now, what I think the EFL should have done, and which should have been a sensible approach, were probably for the Sky Blues to play their first 5 league games away from home.
Yeah.
And then everything would have been sorted. Yeah, it'd be difficult for the club playing 5 games away. But having said that, they could make up the home games as the season progresses. I think that would have been a better solution. But no points deductions, absolutely no way on earth.
Do you think there'll be question marks over kind of the financial implications of having 5 games away? I mean, the fans, I know I struggle to get to every away game on my wage. To have 5 away games straight after each other, do you think the EFL's probably looked at that?
Yeah, they probably will have looked at it, but and especially later on this season, if they're playing 4 and 5 home games in a 2-week period, makes it very expensive for the fans, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But I just thought, as a temporary solution, and the EFL could probably, I don't know, help financially. It might have been a good compromise, but who am I? I'm just a fan, so. Yeah.
We're just mere minions here, aren't we?
Correct.
Any thoughts on the situation at Coventry, Charlie?
Yeah, it's just terrible, isn't it? Like you said, it's nothing to do with the actual owners of the football club. It's just it's bad. I'd be livid. Of course, they've had loads of problems with that in the past, haven't they? With the having to play at six fields, and then now they're having to play at Burton Albion, I think.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because it's not even it's just don't forget that as well. Obviously, in the end, the fans would have still been annoyed, but at least they actually had a good season, didn't they? They won the league, didn't they? Or finish? I think. Yeah, but still, it's terrible for the. Yeah, I'd be livid if that was me, or if it was any other, football fan from a club. Yeah, you'd be livid, wouldn't you? So, yeah, and like you said, it was just the Commonwealth Games. You've seen it. It was just getting ripped to shreds, and it's bad, isn't it? It's bad.
Yeah. Hopefully, it's rectified soon, and Coventry can get back to playing games at the Rico.
Yeah.
Ian, you wanted to mention the Preston game at Luton, an absolute ridiculous strike from Potts. Talk us through it.
That's just why I wanted to do this game. I mean, Luton are very, very strong at the Kenny, but that was a goal fit to win any game. What a strike! I mean, it was just a hopeful ball looked up into the area, and he just leapt on it, and it was a great scissor kick. You don't really see goals like that these days very often, but it was a hell of a strike. But yeah, it looks like it's a very, very good win for Preston, because as I said, Luton are very, very strong at home. I should imagine I hope Preston's luck runs out, because they've got us next. So yeah. But yeah, good win for Preston. 5 shots on target out of 7. That's a good return, that.
Yeah, it's not bad, is it?
Yeah, it looks like pretty even in possession as well. Yeah, good win for Preston. Yeah.
Not a bad first goal of the season for Preston as well. First goal of the season, first points on the board. First win on the board. But yeah, absolute unreal goal. People linking it to Van Basten and
Di Canio as well.
Yeah, I think what they said on ITV last night was right. I think you've just got to put that in its own category, the Brad Potts category, and enjoy it for what it is. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Goal. Yeah. And then I think the best place to finish before we look at this championship table is, of course, Sunderland 2, QPR 2. Ex-Rovers player goal scorer. Look at that, and it's Seny Dieng, the goalkeeper. Charlie, talk us through Sunderland 2, QPR 2.
Yeah, it was just insane, really. Obviously, Sunderland started well, got the 2-goal lead, and then the last sort of few minutes was just mad, really. You had a brilliant free kick from Elias Chair, top corner. Of course, talk on Ellis Sims as well. He's had a good start for Sunderland. I think that's his 3rd goal since signing on loan from Everton, Ross Stewart. But then, the last few minutes, I couldn't believe it. I thought someone was joking when they put that on. I seen it on Twitter. Dieng, the keeper score. Yeah, because I remember when he was at you, and I think it was during the lockdown season where we played you, and I think when we had Nichols, and I think we lost 2-0. We never do well at you anyway, but then he saved the penalty, and then I just couldn't believe it. What a header as well. You would never have thought that was a keeper. What a header. Unbelievable. The scenes, and of course that is why you have to stay right till the end, because it looked like a lot of QPR fans had gone. And we're like, we're not going to get anything out. And then all of a sudden, I just seen it. And what a header as well from a keeper.
Yeah, you'd be sick to the stomach, wouldn't you, as a QPR fan, thinking, you know what, 80 minutes, 2-0 down, sod it, let's get out, get to a pub, get to the station early, get an earlier train home or something. And then walking down to the station, you look at your phone and see that it's 2-2 and Seny Dieng scored. You'd just be absolutely fuming. Yeah, Lizzie, people leaving early blows my mind. I've never understood it. And also Claxon. definitely. That was a klaxon that I wasn't expecting to put on a live stream. But Ian, Ross Stewart and Ellis Sims, they're looking to be making a decent partnership up in the Championship.
Especially Sims. I mean, 3 goals in 2 games. Ross Stewart will always score goals. He scored a boatload last season. But strong going forward. But defensively, they're looking quite weak at times. They're looking quite vulnerable. But like Charlie said, the Chair free kick. I mean, I love watching Elias Chair. I think he's a fantastic player for this level.
Yeah,
I think it really has got a hell of a lot of talent. But the equaliser, he headed that in like a 6'5" striker. The technique of the header was unreal for a goalkeeper. It was fantastic. Yeah, and Rangers fans leaving early. They must be really sick. Yeah.
Something's telling me that when Dieng was on loan at Donny, Darren Moore was in charge. We were playing out from the back, and it was very nervy because he's got such good control with his feet. I'm sure somebody told me that originally he was an outfield player who then decided to. There we go. I knew Lizzie had come in. Pretty sure Dieng played outfield early on in his career. Literally just saying the same thing. I'm sure he was an outfield player and then he's gone into goal. And I think it shows because his feet are unreal. Very close control. Had hearts in mouths a number of times when he was Cruyff turning strikers running in. But then he's also shown his scoring prowess with a fantastic header to secure a point, and a very unlikely point. Before we finish up, we will take a quick look at the Championship table. Starting at the top, Blackburn Rovers also with a 100% record. So that's only 2 teams in the EFL with 100% records after the first 3, Blackburn and Leyton Orient. Just a quick word on Blackburn. Do you think they'll continue it, or is it hinging on Brereton Diaz staying beyond the window? What do you think?
I think they'll find it hard to keep up this momentum. They had a really, really good run last season, and it all came to a shattering halt. And I can see that happening again. Although under the new management, they seem to be confident. They seem to be playing good football. So, yeah, it could continue. Not for me though. I think once they get a couple of defeats and doubt starts to creep in, I think they might end up going down the table a little bit. But it's still a very, very good start.
ATID saying that they've got an 100% record because Fleetwood don't count. Hull City started really well as well. Question marks over their recruitment with the players that they brought in, but they seem to be doing fairly well. A decent start, 2 wins and a draw from their opening 3. Watford, Millwall, Cardiff and Sunderland make up the playoffs. And then Rotherham almost getting a nosebleed in, up in 8th.
End the season now. End the season now.
You're not expecting it to last then, mate, no?
No, I'm a realist. I think, like I said, we're aiming for 20th. If we get 20th, it'll be a successful season. But
well, that's progress, isn't it? Because over the last few seasons, it's been yo-yoing. So, yeah, avoid the drop and it's progress, surely.
Absolutely.
Norwich, Bristol City. Charlie, you'll be enjoying seeing this. Coventry in the bottom 3. I know the local rivals, but is the worries for Bristol City? They've not looked great, have they, under Nigel Pearson?
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously, with me being a Rovers fan, half of my mates are City, half of my mates are Rovers, so always having banter, and it's the thing. It's just, I mean, they need to obviously recruit more. To be fair, some of their players I do like, but they need more players. To sort of score as well, because that Weinman, what a signing he's been since he's gone. I think he got 20 odd last year. He's already got 4 this year in all comps, and I think if you're going to rely on him, I know he's done very good, but he could easily get injured or go on a spell of 8, 9, 10 games and they're stuffed then. So although I think some of their players are good. Yeah, a lot of my mates, you know, they're saying that they're going to struggle, and yeah, I think they will. I think they will. So they need some signings. But like someone just said in the ATID said in the comments, yeah, the owner Lansdowne focuses too much on the rugby. You know, the amount of money they've got from certain sales in the last few years. Like you look at Adam Webster, Bobby Reed, Joe Bryan. You know, there's a lot, and they just don't put anything back into the club. So yeah, they'll struggle. I think
to reinvest when you get decent sales like that for sure.
Yeah.
So worries for Bristol City. And that brings us to the end of episode 3. A big thank you to Ian and Charlie for going through as much of the 72 review as we can. Obviously, we'd love to touch on every single team, but we'd be here for absolute hours. But yeah, I've enjoyed this one. I hope everybody watching has enjoyed it. Obviously, this will stay on the channel, so if you want to catch up later on in the week, you're more than welcome to do so. Charlie's link will be in the description down below as soon as we've come offline today. But yeah, thank you for joining in the chat. Hope you guys have enjoyed taking part in the show once again.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
all that's left for us to say is if you've enjoyed it, big thumbs up on it for us, please. Comments in the section down below. Subscribe to everybody if you haven't already. As always, thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one.